Welcome to the Forest Forum, episode number 3, and we've got some interesting topics to get discussing tonight. So, let's get started. Hi chat, hope you're doing well. Good to see you all. Please make sure you've hit the like and subscribe as always. And I knew someone would say this, and the answer is down here. Sir Simon, yeah, going on the wrong link. So good to have you back, Si. It's been a while. You can tell you're rusty on links. We've got Rob with us, of course, because he just has to pop along. And we got the legend himself from Talking Reds, Greg, as well. Chat. New channel. How long's it been going now, Greg? For about 3 months?
Yeah, about 3 months. We're slowly getting there. Thank you for inviting me onto the channel tonight.
Thanks for coming, mate.
Not honored to be here. Thanks ever so much for that. So yeah, we've got our little corner. We're trying to do a few different things as well, and just have our say like everyone does on the team, really.
Yeah, and the link is pinned in the title. It's that thing in blue. All you guys got to do is click it and subscribe. And you know what I'm going to do with you guys? As we always say on here, support all Forest channels. There's plenty of space, plenty of content to be had, all slightly different. I'm looking now. Greg, you're on 451, right? I will be insulted if our chat doesn't get you to 500 subscribers tonight. So chat, that is your task tonight. Click on the link in the title. I'll put it in the chat for you, because I know some of you are lazy, right? And make sure you do subscribe. So, welcome, Greg, making his debut. Thanks for being on, mate. And we have some interesting topics for you guys. We've got the poll going on for who you want to start. So we're going to be talking, should Jota be starting? Greg's going to argue that Jota must start, according to the title I've got for him. I don't know if that's a bit too strong, Greg, but that's what we got. Rob's going to talk about the game yesterday, a bit of a review, why he thinks it's the perfect game and the good points coming out of it. We'll see if you guys agree. And then Sai's going to talk about the goalkeeper situation, because Sai was impressed with a certain 6'8" giant yesterday, even though some blamed him for the goals. So at the moment, the debutant is massively in the lead. Got 58% of the votes, Greg. Look at you. You just come in swoop. You've knocked these guys out the park, and he's in the lead. Si, you're in second with 27% of the vote. And then Rob, you're last again, mate, with 16. So what we'll do, Greg, if you're okay going first, we'll set you up, mate. We'll give you up to 5 minutes to have your say. And then we'll pass it over to the chat and the comments to see if they agree with you or disagree with you. So let's get you on the main stage, Greg. There you go, mate. And the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay, so it's been another summer where we've seen lots of new signings coming into Nottingham Forest, and it's always difficult to get an idea of players until they put on the red shirt and get onto the grass. And getting minutes in this team is going to be difficult going forwards for some of them. Our depth in the last 2 seasons in the Premier League has been a little bit left wanting, perhaps, when we had the likes of Origi coming off last season and not doing the kind of things we needed him to do. And our winger options in the form of Hudson-Odoi and Alanga seem to have really cemented their places. Going into season 3, it was well documented that we're looking to bring the wingers in. So with Sosa and Silva now coming into the club, we've got really good winger options. And the talk has been, well, how are they going to dislodge Alanga? How are they going to dislodge Callum Hudson-Odoi? With performances like last night from Jota Silva, that's how you get yourself into the team. He gave a terrier-like performance that literally got the whole City ground and those watching from home off their seats. He was dogged. He was running into space. He stood out from a group of players that were actually on form as well. Let's forget about the first 18 seconds. It was terrible. But to get themselves back into the game the way they did, he was the player that was standing out. There were others that were doing well as well, but he was making runs forward. And I pulled up a stat map for you to have a look at, which hopefully you've got as well, Wolfie, to put on the screen. So you can see, there you go. So you can see that he's definitely operating down that right-hand side, which is the Alanga area. So he's making runs into those spaces. So in the middle, you can see the touch map all down the right-hand side, but he's also dropping deep as well, able to pick the ball up and do some defensive work as well. You can see on the left-hand side that he's not carrying the ball quite as much as perhaps Alanga would, but he's looking to pass forwards into those spaces. He was hooking up with Jota Silva, Murillo on the right-hand side, an awful lot. And he was just getting into awkward spaces. But one thing that really stood out for me as well was the amount of times he was winning the ball in the air. So he was knocking the ball on to a Wonyi or to another Forest player, and he was making the Newcastle defence turn into a position they didn't want to turn. So you can take that back off again for us now, buddy. He got the goal, which obviously was a fantastic moment for him. You could see the look on his face, the joy, the energy, the absolute delight that he portrayed from last night is something you want to bottle, in my opinion. So bottling that up, getting him on the pitch to start on Saturday, for me, is an absolute must. Now, this isn't anything necessarily against Anthony Alanga. I hear a lot of people saying, well, he hasn't done anything wrong. Why is he coming out? It's not about what someone's done wrong. It's more about, have we got a better option for this game? And I think that we need to bottle that energy, that enthusiasm. He's a skillful player. He's going to be on cloud nine, full of adrenaline. He's going to want to make his Premier League home debut on the grass on Saturday. And I think that we can get him into the team. It's perhaps hard luck on Alanga stepping out, but it doesn't necessarily have to be Alanga. It could be, harshly perhaps some might say, that he plays on the left instead of Hudson-Odoi, or we may have a problem in the centre midfield. Now, Yates apparently was ill last night, so he might not have recovered from that. Can Elliot Anderson play 3 matches in a week? I'm not so sure. He looked like he was a bit ragged at the end. So could we see Morgan Gibbs-White drop into the 8 next to Sangare? I know that's been something that's debated here and elsewhere previously. I'm a big fan of that idea. I think Morgan Gibbs-White in the 8 is a superb player. And could you see Jota Silva slotting into the 10? Either way, he can pop into those spaces. He will link up the play, as Russell's saying in the comments there as well. He offers something different from Anthony. Anthony will carry the ball more. Against Southampton, he had a lot of carries, but also his decision-making needs to mature a little bit more as well. Anthony's looking for the shot when perhaps he should have crossed the ball for Wood, and we heard Chris Wood shouting his name in frustration against Southampton for that. So look, I think if ever anyone's ever earned a start, then I think Jota Silva has as well. And just quickly to wrap up as well, Nuno's press conference, the very first question at the press conference this afternoon was about Jota Silva. Has he done enough to start? It feels to me like a lot of other people are noticing that he's had a great game. He is in pole position to get into that starting 11. A lot of questions about him. His interview after the game was fantastic. He was chuffed to bits to score. So I would have no doubts that he must start on Saturday.
So there you go. Greg's put a good case together for Jota. Do you guys in the chat agree with him or not? There's a poll up there. Yes, you agree with Greg, or no? You're so adamant that Alanga must start. But as he said, he's not necessitating that Alanga's the one to come out. Joker, thank you so much for the 20 months, buddy. Appreciate it. And just a quick reminder, click the title, Talking Reds. I've seen a few of you have subscribed, but a lot more can. Greg, we're up to 472 now. So I need 28 more of you to subscribe. Let's get him to that milestone of 500. It's an absolute cracking channel.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Bobby, thank you so much for subscribing. Very kind of them. I'll tell you what, this chat, right? They'll piss you off, Greg, but they're lovely. They're lovely. And they will pick up on anything you say. So I want to hand this over to the boys on the panel. So, boys, Greg's put a case together there for Jota. What were your thoughts on what Greg said? Do you agree, disagree, and what should we do with this scenario on the right-hand side?
Shall I go first?
That's like your cue for one of you to speak.
Okay, so I'm somewhat confused over what position he was playing, because it looked like he'd been put on the left with Moreira on the right, and then Sosa as a 10 and a Wonyi as a 9. But it wasn't all that clear. I've been championing Jota from the start, right? I was really happy that he got 1 minute against Southampton because it meant he wasn't going to Olympiacos. That was my very first Forest Forum pitch. So, yes, I want him to start as well. I want players to make their league debut at home. I think it's the right sort of environment to play him. It doesn't mean Elanga's finished for me. I think Elanga's been good so far this season. I like Elanga away from home for the breaks in particular. He's absolutely devastating pace, and that's really his calling card. I like Elanga as a sub, and I like him away from home. I would like Jota to start on the right-hand side. The only problem is I'm not sure that's the position that he was actually playing last night, so we haven't really seen him in it. Last point about Jota, from all the research I've done, it seems that he actually, when he was playing for Vitoria, he's played on the left, on the right, and he's played up front. So if we do fail in our quest for a striker, he may well get some game time as an actual centre forward. And well, the way he finished that chance, I'd be relatively confident about that. There was no saving that. I don't think I've seen a shot that is more impossible to save than that. Just absolute power of it, and the top corner as well. It was pretty emphatic. I like the confidence with which he put that away. So 100% agree.
So
Rob,
you thought it went out, didn't you? God,
yeah,
sorry.
from where I was, it looked like it went out because me and Nicky, I was watching the game with Nicky, and we didn't know whether to celebrate or not because it was like what's just happened. But Rob, do you think there's a bit of luck in that one? I know you say you stuck at top bins, but that could have gone anywhere, couldn't it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. By the way, he hit it so hard that it kind of rolled round the inside of the net, and then next thing it's in front of the keeper. And I thought, oh, did he hit the woodwork?
No, you make your own luck. You make your own luck. That it isn't luck. That comes from training. That comes from balls coming into the box on a day-to-day basis, and they're swiping it into the net because it's consistent, repetitive action. So yeah, it could have gone to Rose Egg. You're absolutely right, but he swiped it. He wanted it to go into the goal, and it came off. So for me, it was repetitive action. It was something from training, and not just for what you were saying in a moment, Rob. Absolutely not writing off Anthony Elanga. He is a great player. I love him. He's brilliant. We've got these options now. That's the thing. And you're right about away from home. I was at Chelsea last year when he came off the bench, and he just went down the middle and scored the winning goal. So he's got a lot to offer still as well. But going back to my original point, in the moment, Jota just feels like he's come in, he's hit some kind of magic on that last night. I'm not saying it was the most amazing debut we've ever seen, don't get me wrong, but I just would love to see him carry it over on Saturday.
And something you mentioned in your statement there, Greg, was about the passion that he brought on. You could tell it meant a lot to him to score that goal. It's almost like, please don't send me to Olympiacos. Look what I can do, kind of thing. It was nice to see, though, wasn't it? It felt like a kid scoring his first goal at the park, and 100%. It put a smile on your face, didn't it?
100%. I mean, he's got that quirky kind of character already with the Jack Grealish similarities that everyone's talking about. The eyebrows, the hair, the shin pads down. He's got his name poking out on his shin pads. One thing I know about Forest fans, and I'm including myself in this, we love a cult hero. We love a character. I'm thinking of Brice Samba, for example, the obvious one to stand out. I think Miguel's in that category as well, by the way. So we'll come on to him later. But Jota Silva, and even Ramon Sosa as well. He had a good game. And the Silva Moreira, 18 years old, had a good game. I think the formation was your back three with Moreira on your right wing back and Moreno on your left wing back. That was clear enough to me. But I think you saw Sosa and you saw Silva definitely swapping in and out a little bit. But the heat map from what I put up before, you can see that Jota Silva was more on the right hand side. But to your point, Rob and Simon, he can play across the front three easily. And, he can play in that central striker role. He's 5'10". I thought he was a little bit shorter than that, but he's 5'10", good in the air, and he scored a lot of goals. So he won't be going to Olympiacos because obviously he's played for us now and he's played for his former team before he came to us. So that's completely off the table anyway. So, no, I expect him to play on Saturday. Even if he comes off the bench, I expect him to play.
So just quickly, is my sound? Sorry,
that's much better. That's much better. Okay, cool. Yeah, go on, sir.
Using this now. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you talk about him playing as a central striker because I completely forgot about
Because isn't that where he made his debut for Portugal? I think Portugal used him in that central role, didn't they? I think I heard that from somewhere. So I completely forgot that he can play there. So if we don't get a striker, potentially, he is an option for that position. Just backing up what Greg says, I agree with what he was saying. Looked really impressive yesterday. I love, that sort of player that gets stuck in. He has that passion, doesn't he? As you mentioned, there's a few other players that actually show that same passion, which we'll get onto later. But really impressive. Sosa as well. Sosa for me was a bit quieter, but some of his deliveries were really good. Can't fault
But
them.
you, but so you're a fan of Elanga, yeah?
I wouldn't. To be honest, I wouldn't say. I don't know. I
Well,
used to be a fan of Elanga.
No spoilers, but I'm basing it on the team you sent me.
Yeah, no. To be fair, after I sent you that team, I did think,
I've got a question
in there.
I've got a question,
Greg.
if I may.
Yeah.
There was some talk in the window when we took Elliot Anderson from Newcastle that Newcastle themselves wanted Elanga, and it went away. And I said at the time to my friends, etc., I thought that one might come back. Now I know we're going into the last 24 hours now, but if Newcastle came in with a cheeky bid for Elanga, now we've seen Sosa, now we've seen Silva, etc., and if the money's right, are you more comfortable with Elanga going to Newcastle if they came in for him?
Ooh, I'll put it to the panel, but chat, I want to put that one to you in a poll. By the way, Greg, well done. 85% are agreeing with you on your poll, so you've won them over. But only a few have subscribed, chat. I'm keeping like anyone who's subscribed, I will shout you out. I've starred those comments. So, Rob, would you be okay? Because the thing with the Newcastle is it depends if they sell Miguel Almiron. There is talk that he might go still in the last minute, but would you be comfortable selling Elanga to Newcastle?
You're going to be annoyed with my answer, which is it depends what we get for him, right? So there's such thing as good business, as I said with Mangala. I'm sure that's already triggered Ant if he's watching. So, there's an amount that I would take for him. But having said that, I think I quite like having the 4 wingers. I think that's the right number and it's the right balance because you can, if you've got all 4 available, you can start with 2 and you can sub them both. I think that if we go down to having Hudson-Odoi, Sosa and Jota, then one of them gets injured, then you're starting a game with those 2 and you can't replace a winger. So I think 4 is the right number and I think it's the right 4 because I think they all bring different attributes. So not looking to sell Elanga, but if someone comes along and says 40 million, I'll take it. So that's my answer. I'm afraid you probably don't like it.
I'm not looking to sell Elanga. I'm not looking to sell him, by the way. I really like him, and I think but I think if the money was right, if it was stupid money, then I think you have to take it.
So what's your trigger point, Greg? What's your trigger point on that? Money wise.
To be honest with you, I think anything 30 million and above is decent, is very good, in fact.
Okay.
I just think, what did we buy him for? We bought him for a year ago for 15. So you can double your money. You might push 35, but like I said, I'm not looking to sell him. I like Anthony Elanga, and
with him, I think the maths. I think he's on a 5 year, so that means we've got about 12 mil left to pay. So anything over 12 mil will be PSR profit on the amortization on that. So 30, like when you put it on paper, is not too bad. So would you go as low as 30? Chat, put your figures in. If you've said yes on that poll, put your figures in to what your minimum sale price would be. So what would you do?
To be honest, the problem with selling Elanga is I don't think we've got enough cover in that position. I mean, who have we got? Because what's going on with Dennis these days, by the way? Because we haven't seen him at all.
He's on the bomb squad.
To be honest, I would like to see Dennis get more game time.
Why?
But that's a whole nother agenda.
Why?
He's looked good for me. Like whenever he's played, I know people have got this weird agenda against him, but I don't see much difference between Elanga and Dennis, to be honest. Like from what I've seen, but.
I feel a debate coming on.
I know,
Greg. Don't hold back, Greg. Go for him, Greg. It's only
listen. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. I think. Look, I've seen flashes of good stuff from Dennis. Undoubtedly, his decision making is very, very poor. If Anthony Elanga needs improvement there, then Dennis really needs it. Tottenham in season 1, I was there at the Tottenham Stadium. He played, and his decision making then was woeful. The only time he got it right was away at Leeds when he set up Mangala for the goal, and it was like, well, this finally the pennies dropped. And obviously the goal against Newcastle at home was delicious. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but clearly we can't be going back into the players that we bought in the last 2 years that we've loaned out continuously. These players clearly aren't cutting the mustard. I'm not saying he's a bad player. It may well be that if we don't, from my calculations, if we leave Danilo out because of the injury of the squad numbers, that is, which we may do, that leaves 3 spaces for players that we've got. So there's 3 spots available. So if we bring in the striker option, that leaves 2. So it could well be that we don't bring the players in we want to, and we are obliged to name a 25-man squad with players that are in the building. So with Hwang and Bola and Dennis, still listed on the website, by the way, in the building, they would have to be named. So you could use them. But for me, Dennis has had his shot. He went to Watford.
Greg, I don't think he ever got a shot, to be honest. Every time he performed, he was just dropped for the next game. I don't think he ever got that consistent run in the team that Alanga's had. Like, it doesn't matter how poorly Alanga plays, he just plays every single game. I think that's where Dennis has gone wrong. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much about Dennis, because obviously, like...
The thing with Dennis, though, is there was a point last season where we really needed someone in that position, and we didn't recall him. So we've now got a lot more depth. So there's several people in front of him. The only thing I would say in front of Dennis is that he hasn't had a game under Nuno, has he? So I just don't think that he fitted Cooper's system at all. So it is a bit difficult to judge somebody on that. But I just think there's so many people in front of him now. And, if we can get some money for him, and I bet his wages aren't small as well, I would offload ASAP. Sorry to say.
Rob, who would you say we've got as backup then on the Alanga position?
Right. So I mean, where it would go for me is first choice on the left side would be Hudson-Odoi with Sosa backup, and first choice on the right for me would be Silva with Elanga backup. But almost any of the 4 could play on either side. I'm still waiting to see Hudson-Odoi on the right, because I think that might be quite interesting. So
I think, sorry, I know
that leaves us a bit light, to be honest.
But just on this one, let's not forget Nico Williams can do that position, and so can Eric De Silva. Eric De Silva
he's
very
18,
good.
isn't he? He's 18 years old.
I'm just saying, you were asking for the backup. So I'll back out.
To be honest, I'm not against selling Alanga. It's just a backup situation. If we brought in another winger, then I would be open definitely to selling Alanga.
Yeah. All right. So the chat, you lot are saying in the vote, would you sell Alanga? Only 20% would sell Alanga if the Newcastle situation, or whoever, maybe someone else comes in. 64% are saying no, and 16 are sitting probably with Ant, who's in the chat, who probably voted not sure as well. So, all right, that brings a close on the first part of the debate. I thought that was an interesting one. I don't know, this Jota one, are we overhyping him over one performance, boys? Or is he the real deal? I think we need to see a couple more games. And as promised, I said I'll shout out those of you who are subscribing to Talking Reds. The link is in the title. So shout out to Jan. Shout out to Evan. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to the legend that is Jolly Ollie. And shout out to M. And shout out to Greg. If you've subscribed, I'll start your comment in between. I will give you a quick shout out. I know you lot love your shout outs. So make sure you go and subscribe. Let us know in the chat you've subscribed. Greg, I'm just cheekily looking here. We're 13 away from 500. So they're slowly getting there. They're waking up. They're waking up. But yes, just before we move...
appreciated. Thank you very much for just push the button and subscribe. It's appreciated. We're a little less chaotic over on Talking Reds than what we perhaps are a little bit. But so it's much appreciated for anybody that comes over and checks us out. So thank you very much, Wolfie, for pushing that for us.
No, it's honestly this chat. They love Forest stuff. So you want more Forest content? There you go. You can stop listening to our nasty voices for a bit. We got a couple of super chats as well. Wazza with the £2. He's saying Miguel, Boly, Moreno, Jota just combine. They do look. I don't know about Boly. Boly did worry me slightly yesterday, but Rob will come on to that in a minute. Thank you for the £2, bud. And Crypto with the £5. Didn't hear Greg speak, but he spoke more sense than Rob. I mean, the bar wasn't set high. The bar wasn't set high. And even though Crypto's not on, he's still got to have his little digs at Rob.
£5,
right.
he can dig all he likes.
Fantastic. All right. Now they're waking up there, Greg. All right. Let me do the quick shout outs now, because if I tell them I'm going to shout them out, they get all excited. Carl, thank you for subscribing to Talking Reds. Vic as well. This randomer in the chat as well. Preds, you're subscribed. Well done. Scottish Forest guy, what a legend, is subscribed. How do you subscribe? Just click on the link that's in the title. I'll put it in the comments again, you lazy gits, or click on the link that's in the comments for you now. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second topic now. I know, Sai, you got the second most votes, but because yours is about a player, I just want to sandwich Rob in just on a slight, if Rob's all right with that. Are you good with that, Rob? Yeah. So sorry, chat. I'm calling executive decision on this one, and let's put the main man there. And Rob, you got yourself 5 minutes. Let us know why yesterday against Newcastle was the perfect result.
Well, I'm saying this a little bit with my tongue in my cheek, because obviously nobody likes to lose. But I really feel with the League Cup in particular, you either want to win it or go out in the first round. Anything else is just the worst of both worlds, because you're picking up injuries, people are getting tired, and you're going to lose at some point. So get it out of the way. Now, I mean, when you consider that the game finished 1-1, right now in the league, that is a result I would probably be happy with against Newcastle. And also, if you compare it to last year, I was at the League Cup home game against Burnley, which finished 0-1, if I remember right. That was a game in which we played 5 at the back and we had 0 shots on target. So really, if you look at last night for the pure entertainment value, I think it's a shame that there was only 23,000 people there to watch it. That is a concern, and I don't know what was going on with the pricing around that game, but obviously you were competing with a Sky Sports home game. Newcastle filled their end and were very noisy. I was almost a little bit embarrassed by the attendance. Now, I know I'm a hypocrite. I didn't go myself, but I was always planning to watch it at home on TV. But I think that there was a bit of a shame to see empty seats in the top corners of the cloth stand. Now, I mean, Newcastle clearly didn't get the memo, right? I think these early League Cup ties and FA Cup ties, they're basically a game of bluff, right? Now, we made 10 changes and we had our entire B team playing, and I would even include Anderson in that because he didn't start the first league game. Everybody was the backup player. And I looked at Newcastle and I thought, hang on a minute, this is a full-strength team. What's that? You know, with Joe Linton and Isaac and all the rest of them. And I think we've got to realise we probably faced the worst possible opponent, because these bloody tryhards, I think that the Saudis obviously want some silverware, and Eddie Howe has been told he's got to win the League Cup. And I think really, I'm glad that we didn't throw everything at them. I'm glad that we used it as an opportunity to see who in the B team is ready for a chance in the A team. Now, from my point of view, I don't want to jump the gun because I know we've already discussed Jota, but 3 stood out for me in particular: Miguel, Jota, and Moreira. I really like his work as well on the right-hand side. Looks like a very promising youth. So not only was it an experimental lineup, it seemed to be experimental in terms of where people were playing. They didn't all seem to be playing in the positions they were bought to play in. Certainly the graphic on Sky put it very much as I said before, with Sousa more central, Jota on the left and Moreira on the right. Now, I don't know whether that's where they ended up playing, but that's what we got, or that's certainly what was advertised. Yeah, we got off to the worst possible start. I'm not blaming Miguel for the first goal. That one's on the defense. I don't want to name names. I think they were just ragged. I just think they were just sleeping from the kickoff. After that, I think Miguel just went on to make a series of really good saves, and his saves just got better and better and better. And I thought, right, now we're seeing something that I think that we don't get from Sells, right? So he's made his case. So despite the fact that he let the goal in after 18 seconds, I think he did just about what he needed to do to earn a place. So I don't want to jump that gun particularly. I did say that I wanted to see a Awoniyi get game time. We got that, and we got the full 90 minutes, and my God, did he tire. I felt like the whole team tired, but like, I'm worried now, and I can see why they're going so heavily for a striker. Awoniyi did not make the case for a first-team place. I feel like he lost his sharpness. And then when it came to the penalties, you're going to hate me for saying this, but with Sangare, if I was going to pick someone who was going to miss a pen, there's something unlucky about him. I want to see how that affects his confidence now. I don't want to see his head drop after that. I'm actually happy that they both missed, because then one of them doesn't have to take all of the disappointment. Anyway, I've had my 5 minutes, but as far as I'm concerned, it couldn't have gone any better. A lot better than last year. We got to see the reserve players. We don't have the burden of having to keep going in the League Cup. And I blame Newcastle for trying too hard.
Boys, do you agree with him? Did you think that it was the perfect game? I know he's a bit of tongue-in-cheek there,
result.
but of a result, how did you see it? So I mean, I walked away disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, of course we're going to be disappointed. It's a penalty shootout loss. It's the first. Yeah, I'm not seeing Forest lose a penalty shootout for ages, especially at the City ground. I mean, to be honest, as soon as it went to the Trent end, I thought, oh no, because we normally do well at the Bridgeford end, don't we? It'd be interesting to see if that was Eddie Howe, who chose to go down that end, if it was Newcastle's decision or our decision, because maybe they knew that our record.
It was theirs. It was theirs.
Yeah, I think that was the right choice from them. I agree with Rob. Like, I'm not that. To be honest, today sitting here now, I'm not disappointed that we've gone out of the cup. I know what Rob's saying. You don't really want to risk our players, in terms of injuries. I saw when Newcastle play, they played their first team. When a lot of their players were going down on the floor, I was thinking, like, it's good that we're not playing our first team, because Willock looked like he got injured. There's a few other guys were on the floor, but yeah, I agree with Rob anyway. At least we didn't lose in full time. We can still hold on to that. We haven't lost this season yet in 90 minutes.
Yeah. What about you, Greg? How do you feel about a cup run? Would it have been good for the squad and had a bit more experimentation time?
Yeah, no, I was very upset we lost. I watched the game. First 20 seconds, as we know, was horrific. They almost went through and got a second not long after that, and that's when Miguel made that big smothering save, and that was really crucial for him. But it's from then, as I said in my opening part, that it wasn't just Silva that played well. De Silva, Moreira, Sosa played well as well. Anderson was putting some lovely passes together. I felt that we were the better team. Last 15 minutes, we did tire. I worried when it went to penalties a little bit. I think it was the Forest. It was our choice to go down the Trent end, and I agree with you, Simon. I'd rather gone down the Bridgeford end, because that's where we've had all of our recent penalty successes. But also the same as soon as Sangare stepped up, I wasn't confident. He looked nervous. I thought Awoniyi was going to take the first penalty rather than the fifth.
Awoniyi shouldn't be on penalties in the first place. I even said to Nicky yesterday, before Awoniyi took the penalty, I said he's not good on penalties. Like, I saw his technique against Bristol City. I'm surprised he scored that one. If you remember that one,
he
was
scored
very, very scrappy.
It was.
I'm surprised that Awoniyi took one, to be honest.
I thought Alanga was going to take one. He
that
didn't
would have
step
made
up.
more sense, wouldn't it?
So no, I wanted the cup run. I think there's value in cup run. I hear what you're saying about, look, if you're not going to win the League Cup, go out in the first round. I don't quite subscribe to that, if I'm honest with you. I think in season 1, when we got to the semi-final, we were battling relegation. It was really good, I think, for the city, for the club, for the fans to have that sense that we had not just progressed into the Premier League that first season, but but actually we had something to say in one of the cups as well. Because ultimately, what are we ever going to win? Now we're back in the Premier League. We're not going to win the Premier League. I mean, no one's going to do a Leicester again. But listen, I'm being realistic. I'm on about in the next 5 to 10 years, we've got a bloody good chance of winning the League Cup, and we've got a very good chance of winning the FA Cup, because cups, it's all about who you draw. It's all about on the day and the rub of the green and all that kind of stuff. And like Clough's used to always say, it's about what you got to show at the end of the season. It's about what you win. We want to stay in the Premier League, but if we can stay in the Premier League and get a trophy to go with it as well. I mean, look at Newcastle. I mean, you're right, Rob. They went all out. That was far more important to them than it was to Nuno. I'm not saying to us, because to me, I wanted us to win. But Wolves fans that I know are saying, don't expect Nuno to play a full strength squad. He's not rating the Carabao Cup at all, and that showed in his squad selection. But what was really pleasing was that those so-called second choices, B team players, they performed. And in fact, when the changes came with Alanga coming on and one or two of the others, that's almost when we slowed down a little bit and actually went off the boil slightly. And that was concerning as well. So look, positive. We didn't lose the game. We lost a penalty shootout. We haven't lost this season, and I agree with you, Rob. If we took a point at home to Newcastle in the league, I'd take it now probably, because we lost that game last season, and I'm always looking to enhance the results of what we did on the previous season. So yeah, it's promising. It's good. There's definitely a feel-good factor, but I would have loved to have gone through to the next round. I think they got Wimbledon away in the next round, and let's say that was us, then I could have gone to that, because I live in London, so that would have been good. There you go.
Just out of interest, I know a slight side note here, but what did you boys in the chat? What did you think about the way they drew the round with the European teams? 4 of them being, well, all of them put aside so they couldn't meet each other. 4 of them at home, 2 away. I don't know if you guys saw the draw, but what was that?
I didn't bother watching the draw, to be honest.
No, I didn't watch it. I saw beforehand that they were talking about how it was going to work. To be honest with you, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think ultimately the whole Champions League format's changed, which I still haven't got my head around because I haven't paid attention to it. But it's all to do with when those games are being played for Europa and Champions League, and so ultimately,
the integrity of the competition's more important. That sounds a bit fixed to me. Anybody should be able to get anybody.
The chat is going off, man. Corruption, brown envelopes, everything.
It doesn't bother me. It's not something that bothers me. I think there's bigger things to worry about personally. But I mean, I might change my opinion if I pay more attention to it. I haven't paid that much attention to it. On first glance, it wasn't something I was that bothered about personally.
I mean, look at the Geordie. Sorry. He's complaining because they've got 8 consecutive away draws in the cup. You got AFC Wimbledon, mate. Yeah, you could have been West Ham. Sorry, God.
I was just saying, I saw put something earlier, about in terms of the Carabao Cup. What if we just took the European teams out of the competition in general? That would make it easier for other clubs to win a trophy. I don't know what you think about that. Would you think it would devalue it?
Yeah, that would do that. That's the whole point. Is that they've not played strong teams because they've got so much else going on. I think taking them out of it would dilute it and devalue it. Personally.
I think it would make it more exciting for us, though.
I'm going to put the boot into domestic cups now because I want to get this off my chest. The domestic cup, when we were in the late 80s, when we were out of Europe, the domestic cups were massive, right? They were absolutely massive. And we won those 2 League Cups. We had 2 FA Cup semi-finals. We lost an FA Cup final. We were the cup specialists. We won ZDS, Simod Cup. They were big then because there was no European football, right? But once it went all Premier League and it went all corporate and we were back in Europe again, then the Champions League suddenly have 4 teams. You know what really killed it? It was bloody Man United. There was that one year when they said, we're a bit too busy to play the FA Cup this year.
The Super Cup. And they had the Super Cup as well, didn't they?
And I thought, you fuckers, you've ruined it for everybody now. Once you're saying we're actually too big to play in this competition, we could win it if we want to, but one of you have it. I just thought from that point on, the domestic cups were ruined in terms of, so I think, versus putting out our strongest possible team against Wolves, and now we know more about what our strongest team is as well. I think we've played a blinder. I honestly think it's the perfect result. There's no nice way to go out, but you know, we didn't lose at home. In fact, we came back after a terrible start, and there was an entertaining performance. By the way, I get the feeling that Newcastle were really worried about going to penalties with us because they were getting desperate. Those last 15 minutes, they were pouring it on. I think they were genuinely worried about going out.
But did you see the size of our goalkeeper?
Yeah,
that's probably another thing as well. Rob, the chat are agreeing with you. 77% are backing you. They agree with you. 23 are saying no. Warren with the £10 super chat. Warren, that is way too generous. Thank you so much, bud. He says, evening chaps, excellent channel and show. I'm a Man City fan, but I've got to say, I was very impressed with that Brazilian goalkeeper you've got. Surely he should be the number one for you. Warren, you couldn't have timed that any better if you tried, because Simon is about to take us through Miguel and why he thinks he should be going on a run as well. So, Warren, thank you so much for that £10 super chat. And as promised, those of you who are subscribing to the Talking Reds, I'm going to quickly shout you out. Gordon, thank you for subscribing. Stuart, Imran, Steve-O, Cujo, Dale, Gripper, Dino, Steve, thank you all for subscribing. Make sure you subscribe. The link's pinned in the comments. You get to see the boys on there. Honestly, they even theme it around Friends, which is just that je ne sais quoi touch, isn't it, Gregor?
It's not completely themed around Friends, but we have a few little funny things going on along the way. And, you know, so come along and check us out. We do episodes where we put a fan in the hot seat and we get to know about them and we get their take on things. So we're kind of a bit of a revolving door, as well as your regular updates and so on. So no, I'm looking on my phone as well, watching the subscribers go up, and we've nearly added 100 on top of when we started tonight. So you know, thank you so much. I mean, you know, like I said, we just want to have our little corner of the podcast world, just to have our say, and you know, it's appreciated for anybody that gives up their time to check us out. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
And chat, not just Greg, right, on Talking Reds. There's plenty of Forest podcasts or YouTube channel. I don't know what the right word is these days.
Yeah,
plenty of space for everyone. Make sure you're showing love to every single one of them. If they agree with your thoughts, disagree with them, they're Forest fans. Make sure you're showing them some love. All right, Laurie, I'll shout you out, Laurie. Bloody hell. You don't want her subscribed to you, Greg. Honestly, she's high maintenance is our Laurie. But thank you, Laurie, for subscribing. JB subscribed as well. Yeah, they're just attention seekers, Jolly, aren't they? Shout out to Finding Nico as well. Keep that love coming through to the Talking Reds. Thank you, Jay. You're a legend, bro. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over, and Roy as well. I'm gonna hand it over to Sai. I'm intrigued on this one. I'm intrigued because I was like, sub him off after a minute, and then he's the greatest keeper of all time. I want to know which way Sai's going and what his arguments are. So, Sai, you got up to 5 minutes, mate. Talk us through your thoughts on Miguel.
Okay, yeah, to be honest, I'm very much like you. You know, before yesterday, I was thinking, Miguel, why did we sign him? You know, are we going to send him out on loan? We didn't see him in one of the preseason games against Olympiacos. I was thinking, oh no, Nuno doesn't fancy him. But after watching yesterday, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised. And I think most of the City ground yesterday were probably thinking the same way. As you said as well, after 18 seconds when he let that goal in, I was thinking, oh no, like this could be a very, very long evening. And you know, all of the Corinthian fans must have been loving it, watching him like conceding after 18 seconds. But no, but he, especially, you know, that Greg, I think Greg mentioned it earlier, when he made that save, when he closed down Tonali, not long after that first goal went in, I thought that was a really, really big save, because that's mentality there, to be able to big yourself up and save something like that when you're on your debut after letting it go in so early. I think that showed a lot of character. I'll get on to more about his play style, but I found out today. I don't know if you guys know. I found out today that apparently his family got murdered when he was 7 years old. Like I think in Brazil. I was like absolutely shocked to hear that. But what that shows is if he's made it to professional footballer when he's had that in his childhood, I mean that shows he's got character. I don't think he's going to be phased with playing in the Premier League. If he's gone through something like that, and still being able to become a success. I think that's made me trust his character a lot more. I was thinking before when he signed, is he going to be ready for the Premier League? But I think not just that, of course, but also yesterday, his performances, I think, really, really show that he has what it takes to play in the Premier League. And I think the great thing about yesterday was it's not like it was against a League Two team or a League One team. That was against a proper Premier League, pretty much a starting 11 in the Premier League. And he looked completely comfortable with it, except for but we always go on about the goal at the start, but I'm with Rob and Greg. I don't think that was actually his fault. I think the defense was completely all over the place.
Mhm.
It was almost like five-a-side football. You had the whole team like lining up to take a shot at the goal. So, yeah, I think he's ready. And I think what he brings that Sells doesn't is he has that presence in goal. He had, people, I would pay to watch Miguel playing goal. I wouldn't necessarily pay to watch Sells playing goal. I mean, Sells is a comfortable pair of hands, but Miguel has got that X factor. Like, I was really, really excited. Every time he made a save, I was like, oh my God. Like, he just looks, he's dynamic as well. He's not just big, he's dynamic. When he makes those saves, he's leaping and he's like diving around. I remember yesterday he punched one as well. He was leaping like an absolute salmon. So yeah, really, really impressed with him yesterday, especially with that penalty save as well. I thought that was his chance to become a hero that day, but unfortunately he got let down by some of our other players. But yeah, I think what he needs. To be honest, like, I'm a really big Sells fan. I said he's a bit boring, but he is a safe pair of hands. But I think now is the chance for Miguel to get a run in the team. Very, very harsh on Sells, especially when he's just kept a clean sheet in the last Premier League game. I don't know how Nuno is going to go about it. I don't know if Nuno will think that he is ready, or I don't really like this thing where we're waiting for Sells to make a mistake to get Miguel in. I think Miguel's had a good game. Let's just get him in against Wolves. If he struggles, give him a few more games. It's not just going to be one game and it's all going to be on that. That's a lot of pressure. Give him a run of games. See how he gets on. If he doesn't do well, it's fine. We've got Sells solid backup for him. So yeah, I think I wouldn't say a no-brainer. It is harsh on Sells, but I think it's really, really exciting. I think a lot of neutrals watching that game yesterday would have been looking at Miguel thinking, who's this? I saw Miguel, like, when he walks up to the goalpost, he doesn't even need to like jump or anything. He just touches the goalpost with his arms. Imagine if you got like that sort of goalkeeper in front of you. If you're a striker and you see that guy in front of the goal, I think you're going to get intimidated. I think Sells doesn't bring that intimidation factor that I think Miguel has. I think Miguel is really, really intimidating. His kicking is the only question mark I think that I would have with Miguel. But I think yesterday he looked okay. I watched him yesterday I watched him in the Villarreal friendly. His kicking looked quite dodgy in that game, but I think yesterday he looked fine. I think Isaac kept trying to run up to him. A bit confused. Yeah, a bit confused what was going on there, but Miguel was like a foot taller than Isaac. I was like, just give him a bit of a push. But I think the distribution was fine. But the main thing for me was he just brought that X factor and he brought that excitement to the game. Just give him a run of games. Cool. I just
wrap it up. God, I'll give you 10 seconds to wrap up. God.
Give him a run of game. I think it's very, very unfair on a keeper just to say, okay, you got one game to prove yourself. That's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure for a goalkeeper. Give him a run of games. If he doesn't perform like how we would expect, that's fine. We've got Sells to come back in. So yeah, that's my take on that.
All right. So chat, do you agree with Sai or not? Is it time to give Miguel those number 1 gloves? Even though, what number is he? Is he 33 off the top of my head? Something like that? Yeah. And boys, I think this is an interesting one. I want to put it to you two. And chat, the poll is open. Is there recency bias with this? Rob, kick us off on it.
No, I mean, look, Brian Clough always used to say that a good goalkeeper is worth 10 to 15 points a season, right? And that was when it was 2 points for a win. So, look, I am ever grateful to Mats Sells for rescuing us from the horror that was Matt Turner. And, you know, he should go down in Forest legend just for that, just for not being Matt Turner and for giving us somebody else. But, I mean, I thought he was going to kick on and become the Belgium #1 and whatever. But I think he's just basically a solid, decent keeper. But the point is, when you bring in someone like Miguel, and by the way, I'm happy we haven't gone chasing after Ramsdale. I want to see what Miguel's got to offer, because the point of signing him is that you're hoping that you're bringing in someone better than Sells. You're hoping that you're bringing someone better than what you've got, right? So whereas if you look at what goalkeepers are worth per season, and Turner could well have cost us 10 to 15 points last season, Sells is like 0 plus or minus. I'm hoping that Miguel is that extra 10 or 15. I want us to have a keeper that can be a match winner, not just a keeper that isn't a disaster. And I saw enough last night to think, you know, this is a really, really good shot stopper. And, you know, you can fill in the other points of your game, but if you haven't got the shot stopping, then you're never going to be a great keeper. You're just going to be a decent one. So he was in my team for the Bournemouth game. And I like people to make their debuts at home. I think the Wolves game is the right time. Let's see what he's got to offer.
Go on, Greg. What are you saying on this one then?
I thought he had a great game. I touched on it earlier that he was making superb saves after the goal went in. I don't blame him for the goal. When Isak's going through and hitting it down low, he got low and he parried it. Okay, fine. Could it have been parried a bit stronger? There was no one in the defence getting back. The first player to pounce was Willock, and obviously we went 1-0 down. But the smothering block, he got down low to another shot in the first half as well, plucking the ball out from the cross, from the corner as well. I mean, he just came out of nowhere and he didn't even have to jump. He just put his hands up and like, yeah, cheers, I'll have that. And obviously we know that last season we were a shambles at defending set pieces, corners and free kicks. We've brought Milenkovic in and he's going to make a big difference in that. Miguel at 6'8", not just because of his height, but his presence. It's how you use your presence as well. You've got to be able to actually find the space and move your feet. And he does that. I thought that he had a great full debut, and I would absolutely back him being in the team on Saturday. And I agree as well. It's not always about waiting for someone to make a mistake before you put someone in. Be proactive, assertive choices in your selections. I've got a better option than what I'm currently using. The option I'm currently using hasn't done anything wrong. He's made some good saves. We've drawn one and we've won one. Well, actually, we've got a goalkeeper here who can come in and enhance us. When Clough brought in Peter Shilton, as Simon was kind of touching on, or Rob was touching on, you know, bringing in someone who is going to gain you points is massively important in that goalkeeper position. I think it's quite possibly the most important position on the pitch, because football is about not just scoring goals, it's about not letting goals in. And so having a fantastic goalkeeper who gives an air of confidence to your back line is crucial. The big question was, he's 6'8". Can he get down to low blocks? He proved that last night. He can. And if anything as well, just quickly to finish off, you know, when you got Murillo speaking to the Forest staff last season, saying, listen, go back to Corinthians. There's a goalkeeper there who is the number 2. He can't get a game because the number 1 goalkeeper has been there for years and years and years and isn't going to get dislodged. But anytime Miguel does get on the pitch, he's superb. Go and have a look at him and get him. That to me speaks volumes. They went and looked at him. They went and got him. The Corinthians fans were so upset to see Miguel leave, because they know that he was going to be the new goalkeeper. So this aging goalkeeper, I don't know his name, but Miguel's come to the Premier League, and in the Athletic, the article about his family being murdered, he shielded his brother. I haven't read it myself yet. I need to go back and read it. But you know, that shows that this guy has come from a really hard start in life, and so we take him into our arms as Forest fans. We've had a Brazilian contingent over the last few years with Danilo and Felipe and all the others that we know about. So should he start on Saturday? Why not? I mean, if I'm going to make a case for Jota Silva, after a great debut last night or full debut, then I think we have to say the same for Miguel. And one more thing as well, I'm a bit confused why they're going after Kelleher. They've gone after Kelleher from Liverpool today, apparently. He's been turned down. Why are we trying to sign a player who's going to want to come in and be the number one? So it confuses me as to actually what they're trying to do with Sells and with Miguel, because to me, we've got a good enough goalkeeping department. And I don't think Kelleher, from what I've seen, enhances those two as well. I'm with you, Rob. I've never been a massive Ramsdale fan. I'm not saying that Ramsdale is a bad goalkeeper. I'm not. But again, he's got a mistake in him that I've seen on more than one occasion. So it confuses me as to what they're thinking about the goalkeeper department. Turner, I'll be honest with you. I just, after last season, I just despair. You know, if he's the number 3, then so be it. But I don't even want. I know it's harsh, but I don't want him anywhere near the team. I don't even want him on the bench. So I'd let him go for free. I really would. I thought he's
you've just earned yourself another 100 subscribers. I guarantee you that.
Disaster. No, sorry, but he's a disaster. He doesn't even look like a goalkeeper. I've always thought Turner plays like an outfield player who's had to go in goal halfway through a game. You know, when someone like gets sent off and you put your centre back in who can play a bit in goal because he's tall and he can get down and he can block. That's for me what Turner plays.
You're not far off, Greg. Sorry to interrupt you, but he didn't start going in goal until I think he was 14.
Exactly.
So exactly what you're saying makes logical sense. But I want to bring that point up with you boys. And chat, what are you thinking about this Kelleher link? Now, my card's on the table. I love him. I think he's better than Ramsdale. But the other link that's come up as well is Neto from Bournemouth. Now that they've, I think they got a new keeper in, haven't they? Okay. Why? No, I'm not saying do you like them or not, boys. My question to you guys now is, what's the thinking behind the recruitment structure? We've all been happy with the recruitment structure. Does this smell a little weird to you guys now? Chat, get your thoughts in as well. Sai, what do you think about that?
For me, I wouldn't be happy with going in for another goalkeeper. I think we've got 2 really good goalkeepers, and we the thing is, we know Sells proven. Sells is Premier League proven, and Miguel showed what he can do yesterday. So I'm really happy with these 2 goalkeepers. You know, as I said, if Miguel doesn't work, then we've got Sells to come in as backup. I didn't like the Ramsdale links. Like, he's been relegated with 2 teams. I think it's probably he looks good at Arsenal, but you got to remember he's got like world-class defenders in front of him. It's going to be a lot easier. When he was at Sheffield United, it was dreadful. When he was at Bournemouth, it was okay. We'll see how it gets on at Southampton. But this is also why I'm a bit hesitant about Kelleher as well. He's always played with like Van Dijk and these world-class defenders in front of him. I want to sort of see him as a number 1, because I do think there is more pressure when you are a number 1. Because Kelleher has always been a number 2, hasn't he? I think there's a little bit less pressure when you're number 2. You sort of just come in, do your job, and then you know that you're going to lose that place. So there's no real pressure on that.
He got a run last season in the Liverpool team. I think it was.
But that's only because of injury, though, isn't it?
Yeah. No, but
he knows there's no pressure on him.
No, but in that moment when he came into the Liverpool team, I'd slightly disagree with you, if I may, that there's no pressure there. I think if you're going to come in and play for Liverpool, you're under pressure. No
I get that, but it's a different pressure to if you're on the number 1. If you've been signed as the number 1 goalkeeper, and we don't know if the number 2 is good enough. It's all down to you. If you're not good enough, the whole club is going to struggle. So, I get what you're saying, but I just think it's also that case of he's got really good defenders in front of him. It makes it a lot easier. He doesn't have that chaos in front of him where they don't know what they're doing on set pieces, that sort of stuff. So that's where I would be a bit hesitant on Kelleher. But to be honest, it's not even just about Kelleher. I would have loved for us to get Kelleher, but I think we're sorted in the goalkeeper department. It's just gonna be a mess, isn't it? If we bring another goalkeeper in, I don't know what's gonna.
Well, that's like having the 3 number 1s, because Kelleher is the number 2 at the moment, but he's only going to leave if he's got guarantee you're coming to be my number 1. And then Sells is a number 1, and we're talking about Miguel being a number 1. So I think it just makes a little bit of a mess. Rob, you're not shaking your head there. What are you thinking?
Just for your answer, I'm sorry. Just for your answer, so you got 74% agreeing with you. I want to know the answer from the chat. I'm going to put a poll on Kelleher in particular. Would you take him or not? Sorry, Rob, go on.
Kelleher, according to Wikipedia, has played 15 league games in his entire career, right? And I don't know what it is with like, oh, it's so exciting. He's a Liverpool player. It's like going after Nketiah. Oh, he's an Arsenal player. He must be good. Look, Matt Turner played for Arsenal, right? There isn't some kind of magic dust that comes from like the branding of coming from one of these big 4 or big 6 clubs. He's played 15 league games. I don't want someone who's played 15 league games over 4 or 5 years coming in and expecting to displace Matt Sells, and then Carlos Miguel ends up going to Olympiacos.
Rob,
I don't want
Rob.
that. I'm happy with those 2.
Rob, how many games did Miguel play at Corinthia?
No, but we've already accepted that he's a gamble.
You see my point, though. You're kind of contradicting your point here.
No, because I
he's
don't
not.
believe that Miguel's come in with either the wages that Kelleher would expect or the arrogance of like, I've come from Liverpool and I'm coming here to get a run in your team. I mean, this is what we heard about Eddie Nketiah. Oh, he needs a run in the team. Just not our team, just not Arsenal. Maybe your team, because you're not quite as good. He could have a run in your team. I don't feel that Kelleher has done enough to demand that first. I'm undroppable. What if he comes in and he has a shit first game? Then he should be dropped. What's he going to do? Turn around and say, well, you promised me I was going to start every game. I think you don't even want people like that in your squad. You know, it didn't work with Jesse Lingard. So I don't want people who are in the squad on the basis that they have to start every game. And I don't think the manager wants that either.
I think we might
Greg,
be
you said that he didn't
but-
contradict himself. Go on. Why not?
No, well, look, I mean, on the contradictory thing, I don't think he contradicted himself as much because Miguel knew when he was coming over to play for Forest in the Premier League that, you know, he had a process to go through. He served as a number 2 in Brazil, serving as a number 2 or even a number 1 or even as a first choice striker in Brazil in that league is different to the Premier League. So, like when Murillo came over, you know, I know that he got his start and obviously he was brilliant and hasn't been out of the team since. But with Kelleher having been the number 2 at Liverpool for so long now, and his stock has been going up and up because it's been media driven. It's been very much media driven that Kelleher is a great goalkeeper, and he really is like a number 1 that's playing as a number 2 because he's behind Alisson and so on. And when he came in last season, he did do well for Liverpool. He made some good saves and not only enhanced his stock because everyone was, oh, look, we've been telling you how good a player he is, and now he's getting 5 to 6, 7 games, whatever it is. He's showing you that he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think that Kelleher is turning around to anyone, Rob, and saying, well, I'm demanding you make me your number 1. And if you don't make me your number 1, then up yours, I'm not coming. I don't think he's saying that. But I think
he's definitely saying that. He's definitely saying that because he's number 2 at Liverpool. So if he wants to come to Forest, he will say,
what I'm trying to say is that
where he is.
He won't. He will be saying, I want to be a number 1. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think he's getting arsey about it and saying, you know, you've got to pick me. I think he's saying, look, my next move to go into a club has to be where I really see myself being trusted by that club to be their number 1 goalkeeper. And if a club is going to bring me in, look at Vlachodimos. You know, that was a mess last season as well with Turner and Vlachodimos. Now, I know that they both didn't work out, but we brought Turner in and put him in, and we signed Vlachodimos. Probably he came thinking he was going to be the number 1 goalkeeper. And actually, we know it didn't work out. Now, no one gets made promises saying, well, you're going to be number 1 and no matter what. And if you make a bad mistake or you have a bad game, you're not going to get dropped. I think what I'm trying to say is Kelleher is going to pick his next move because he knows he's got to try and stake a claim to be a number 1. So for Forest to go to him and say, come to us and be our goalkeeper, I think certain assurances were going to need to be made to him, say, look, you're going to play. Now, I don't think that I'm with you, Rob. I don't think it's the right thing. I think we've got enough with Sells and Miguel. So I just don't get the idea of bringing in a Kelleher who wants to be the number 1. Bringing in a Neto also doesn't make sense to me. You know, even if the goalkeeper department stayed as it is at the moment, I don't like Turner. But if he's the number 3 that never plays to a Sells and a Miguel, then I can live with that this season.
Okay. I guess I'm in a minority. I would take him. I would take him. But anyway, I'm just here to host. I'm here to host.
No, but why would you take him? Based on what?
I've seen enough of him to think he's good enough to be that breakthrough keeper. You could mold him in the same time. I get what you guys are saying about his game time, but that's why I said Rob was contradicting himself, because I feel Miguel is still an unknown quantity. I love him. I love the shithousery we saw yesterday, but I just think Kelleher looks very calm and composed. He's had one mistake, that one against Man U in the Cup. Was it in the Cup or the League? I can't remember, last season. Outside of that, I've seen him make some cracking saves. I take Sai's point on about he's playing in front, he's got Virgil and so on in front of him, but I still think there's something about him. But that's I'll save
So
my
just
thoughts.
quickly, you talked about calmness. That's another thing I forgot to mention about Miguel. He looked really calm actually when he's playing. He looks like a shithouse, but when he's actually playing, he looks really calm. He didn't look phased at all.
So I agree with calmness, but he also had a sort of intensity about him as well. Like every time he made a good save, he was really pumped up from it, and I like to see that. Whereas, like,
he's really pumped as well.
I know we need to shut up about Turner, but Turner used to look scared.
Yeah, he looked
confused. He looked confused and scared, and that gives vibe to the defense, doesn't it? It gives it gives vibe to the people in front of you.
Can I just add one thing on Miguel? The best thing about him yesterday. Did you notice how far they had to bend their corners away from the penalty spot, because he didn't even have to jump to catch those balls. He solved our corner issue in just being high. So
and that's why we brought him in.
Yeah, we need to move on to look ahead at the Wolves game and get your teams on. We're running about 7 to 10 minutes behind. Chat, take a quick second. Make sure you do hit that like button. As promised, those of you subscribing to Talking Reds, I've got you pinned. So make sure you're subscribed. The link's in the title, and also it's now in the chat for you for the lazy ones. So shout out to Exciting for subscribing. Shout out to Sharky as well for subscribing. He loves your beard. I gotta say, it's absolutely on the money. Look how scruffy mine is. Fair play to you, Greg. And also, we'll be putting Grits' vlog from yesterday onto the community tab after this stream. So make sure you go and subscribe to Grits as well. As we keep saying, support all Forest content creators. And we got the legend in the chat, Greg, your partner in crime, Richard. Is he still over in the UK?
He is. Richard's in York at the moment. He's with his brother visiting that area. He and I are going to be meeting on Saturday. We're going to the Wolves game. So we'll be in the Trent Navigation before with a couple of other lads as well. So if anyone's around before the match and sees us and says, "I can say hello," then that'd be fantastic. So yeah, Richard Spray over from the US. He goes back literally the day after the Wolves game. So we're thrilled to be able to get to a game together. And it's Richard's first game in something like 33 years.
30 years, yeah. So, he must be so excited. Mate, to have that feeling, Richard, mate, you must be buzzing. Hopefully the boys can bring it in. Shout out to Richard. We'll definitely get Richard on once he's back and settled.
100%. You have to get Richard on. He's a legend. Absolute
legend.
Yeah, you must.
So just quick. Now you mentioned the Wolves game. Sorry, just quickly. I've got a spare ticket, so if anyone wants that, let me know.
Yeah. Chat, send me a WhatsApp message. I'll be size PA on this one. Shout out to Nikki. He's subscribed. I'm pretty sure he's subscribed earlier, but well done, Nikki. Well done. So chat, make sure you've subscribed. Right, we're going to go on to the teams. This is the fun bit where you guys get to decide which of the three teams looks the best. And I got to tell you what, I think the team's selections are starting to settle down a little bit. So let's go over to the screen there. Sai, you ended up in the hot seat, so we'll do your team first. For those who are listening later on the podcast, I'll start by reading out Sai's team, if I get rid of that. And Sai has gone for a 4-2-3-1. He's put the big man in goal, Miguel. Back four of Moreno, Murillo, Milenkovic, and Einar. Sangare and Anderson in the 6 and 8. Morgan in the 10. And then up front, he's gone for Hudson-Odoi on the left, Alanga on the right, and Wood up front. Chat, what do you think of that team? And Sai, talk us through your thinking here.
Okay, so I had to put Miguel in, obviously, otherwise it would completely contradict everything I said. But yeah, I've kept the front three the same. I was very impressed with Sosa and Jota yesterday, but I think they still have to work their way into the team. You can't just, I think they did well, but let's start them on the bench. Bring them on, after 60 minutes if Alanga or Hudson-Odoi is having a quiet game. slowly bed them in, and then if they're good enough, then start them. I think the midfield. I know Yates is people said Yates has had a good game. I prefer Anderson. I think Anderson is he's a way better passer than Yates. I think that's my biggest frustration with Yates. I think he's a great player to bring on the pitch. Like Southampton, great player to bring off the bench. If we need to see out a game. I just don't know about starting Yates because I don't trust his his passing. He doesn't have the vision that I think Anderson has. So that's where I've gone. Anderson is just a bit more positive because I feel like with Yates sometimes he gets the ball, he runs up the pitch, and then he stops because he doesn't know what to do with it. So so that's where I've gone with Anderson. I think Sangare's played well. I know yesterday he missed a penalty, but I thought before that he actually looked pretty good when he came on. And then for me, I would start Moreno. He looked really good. And I know you said before, Wolverine, that he didn't want to come to us, but he showed a lot of passion yesterday, like a lot of passion. I really liked it. So really impressive. Moreno he looked a class above, what we, Toffolo. So get Moreno in there, and then move Aina onto the right. I think Williams has been okay, but I think Aina again is that class above. I think so. Definitely get them in, and then get the usual pairing in. So Milenkovic and Murillo. So I think that looks a good team. In terms of striker, we've got to stick with Wood for now because I think Taiwo's shown that he's probably not up to it at the moment. So that's my team.
All right, boys, just for you, Doug, I said there's 984 of you here. We're nearly at 1,000. Thank you all for being here. Please make sure you've hit the like button and subscribe. Rob, let me come to you on this team. Anything standing out to here that you would change? Just looking at what the chat is saying, someone questioned Nico Williams not being in, and a lot saying, where the hell's Jota? But go on, Rob.
It's funny that we do this blind because my team is only one player different.
Well, wait till you see Greg.
So I could answer it now, or I could answer it in. So I very nearly went for Moreira at right back, but I wanted Moreno in as well, and I thought, wait a minute, you can't drop Aina. So I got a bit confused there. It's nice to have these options, isn't it? In terms of Moreno, I've got my contact at Villa said he gets forward really well, but he's defensively a bit suspect. I'm thinking, have we got another Nuno Tavares on our hands? But I want to see how he combines with Hudson-Odoi going forwards. And I don't think we really got to see that last night. So I want to see that in a league game at home. Let's see how he does it. If it doesn't work out, Aina can go back on that side. Williams can come back in, or Moreira can get a game. I really think Moreira is close, by the way. I really think he's close. He's young.
He's good. He's just a bit young for me. He's a bit too young, isn't he? I mean, people were saying Albert was young, but I think Moreno's the same age as him.
If you're good enough, you're old enough. The old cliche.
Moreira's played a lot of Bundesliga games, though, hasn't he? So
no, he hasn't.
League 2. He was in the second division with St. Pauli's. St. Pauli's.
Right.
Greg, what are you saying to this team? Yours is a little different when we bring it up, but I mean, are you against this team?
No, not at all. I think you can make an argument for so many players to start at the moment that it really is a bit of a pick 'em. So, there's not one player there on that team that stands out that you can't make a case for to be in that. Especially when we're coming off the back of an away win at Southampton. I believe Moreno has been brought in to be the starting left back, and I think that he will start and has to start. There's a chance that because he played in midweek that he doesn't potentially, but I think he starts. I think also touching on what you were saying, Rob, about the interaction with Hudson-Odoi, one of the good things about Nuno Tavares when he was here last season was his link-up play on the attack with Hudson-Odoi. So Moreno and Callum will hopefully be able to get something similar going on. I know that Moreno is better defensively. I've got a couple of Aston Villa friends as well who are quite sorry to see him go. I know that we tried to sign him previously. I don't pay any attention to the fact that he chose not to come previously. That's in the past. Players make decisions in the moment for their career and where they see that he chose to stay at Betis, didn't he? And then went the next window to Villa, and that's fine.
To be fair, at that point, I don't blame him.
And then exactly.
At that point,
well, it was chaotic because we were trying to sign a left back because we failed to pick up bloody Omar Richards' broken leg. So ultimately things happen for a reason, and he's here now. he's here now, and he showed passion. He's going to make the girls swoon as the next Felipe, I'm sure. So I'm think that he has to play. And then Ola Aina, I think I've got him in my team as well, Simon, over Nico. And I love Nico. Nico's got energy. Nico is absolutely a brilliant player. But for me, Ola Aina is the player that would take that right back slot at the moment. So no, I can't make too much of an argument against any of those players starting. Mine's slightly different, but it looks good though.
Well, should we transition onto yours? Just before I go, shout out the legend that is Sharky. With the £5, thank you so much, Sharky. He goes, best show for a while. Enjoying the debate. Thanks to all the panelists. Well, it's nice not to listen to Ant shouting and Crypto making his tumbleweed jokes and all that. We got some maturity on tonight, chat. So I hope you're enjoying the panelists. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that.
Greg. Williams, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Gone?
Just quickly, I just want to add with the Williams thing. Like, Aina seems to get tired after 60 minutes anyway, so just bring Williams on.
Exactly.
When Aina ties
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
You got your
We're not saying
side.
don't play Williams. Just bring him off. Yeah, off
Exactly.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, and Greg, I will take issue with what you said on Felipe because a few of us blokes were a little taken aback as well, mate. It wasn't just the ladies.
Well, I subscribe to that as well. I also, thought, wow.
Yeah, Laurie will, of course, point it out. But let me bring your team up, Greg. I'll shout it out for those who are just listening and then talk us through your thought process. And you've gone for a 4-2-3-1. And in goal, Greg has gone for Matt Sells. At left back, he's gone Moreno, Murillo, and Milenkovic as the two centre backs, with Aina at right back, Sangare and Anderson as the 6 and the 8, Morgan Gibbs White in the 10. And a slight change to what Sai's gone there. He's gone Jota on the right, Hudson-Odoi on the left, and Wood up front. Now, chat, 68% of you agreed with Sai's team. Let's see how many of you agree with Greg. Greg, make your case for your team, mate.
So I talked about Jota Silva right at the start and why I think he has to play on Saturday. So he has to be in my team. Clearly, his impact I think could be really good. His full home Premier League debut. I think he's going to be walking on air, and I think he will have a lot of energy. Alanga can come off the bench again, but Jota Silva starts. I noticed my namesake in the comments, Greg Winfield, seems to think that I've got a love affair with Ryan Yates going on and he had to start. I do love Ryan Yates. I think Ryan Yates is really important for our club. And I think that he absolutely has got a massive contribution to make this season, next season, to our club and to the team.
Greg, does Greg owe you £1,000 now?
Well, I possibly, but I mean, I put Anderson. I put Anderson in because I think that he played very well against Southampton. I liked the first half against Southampton, especially. Sangare and Anderson were doing some really good things. Sangare went off the boil after he got booked in the second half. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Whether Yates can get over his stomach upset or not, I don't know. But I would start with Anderson and Sangare. But that will be 3 starts in a week for Anderson. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. For me, Milenkovic and Murillo are the starting pair at the back. I've gone for Sells in goal. I'm completely persuaded if it's Miguel. For me, it's at the moment, it's a choice that Nuno's going to have to make. If it's Miguel, I'm completely at peace with that. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But going back to what you said earlier, Rob, about Matt Sells when he came in and saved us from the disaster of Matt Turner, and also Vlachodimos as well, because he had a part to play in the goalkeeper debacle, didn't he? Matt Sells came in and really settled that position down, and it just became the talking point of the season. Just vanished. So he has got a special place in my heart, Matt Sells. I think he gets a little bit of flack, sometimes a bit more stuck on his line. Big things to come from Miguel. If he doesn't start this game, I believe he'll get a start soon. But if Sells plays in goal, I'm happy with that. I'd stand by that team. Chris Wood starts up top for me. Taiwo tired. I thought Taiwo looked better in the first half last night than what we'd seen so far from pre-season, etc. A little bit sharper. I'm not saying that he was brilliant. I'm not saying he's back to his best. He definitely tired. We saw him against Southampton holding off Bednarek. And he's got that strength. And last night as well, when the ball comes up to him, it seems to stick and he can get his body in between the defender and the ball. So, a 1-0 off the bench, but Woody to score a brace for me. at home on Saturday against Wolves. I got us for a 3-1 win. But yeah, that's my team. Morgan getting a call up today for the England squad, well deserved. I know that I know he knows Carsley. I know Carsley likes him, but Morgan will be buzzing. So I was at the Wolves game at the end of last season, which is the last game I went to when we had the 2-2 draw. So you watch your space. 3-1 Forest, brace for Woody, Gibbs White to score the other one. That's my team for the weekend.
All right, boys. Si, what are you saying to this one? Slightly different kind of in terms of the attack with Jota there. I mean, I don't think anyone's really going to be against any of the teams you boys are putting up. I'm putting words in the chat's mouth, but I will say so far, Greg, 86% are loving your team in the vote. 14 would change it. So, Si, yours is slightly different to this one. So, what you say?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't mind. Like, if Sells is in goal on Saturday, I'm going to be fine with that. It's a bit like Greg. He said if Miguel is in goal, he's going to be fine with it. I have nothing against Sells. I think he's a solid Premier League goalkeeper. Obviously, the only other difference is Jota. Yeah, I mean, if Jota does start, that'll be exciting. As I said, when I did submit my team, I did look at that as a position of, maybe I could have changed Alanga for Jota, but yeah, it looks good. Again, if it is this team, I'll be pretty happy with it. But Greg does raise a good point there. Sorry, with that Anderson, I completely forgot about that. That he has started so many games, so maybe it'll be Dominguez.
And I love Dominguez actually probably more than anyone. He's my man crush above any of them. So for me to not include Dominguez, I think he's brilliant. He works so hard. He puts in so many kilometers through the game. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'd go with Dominguez if Anderson. But I think I said to you guys before as well that even if Anderson doesn't start, I'm fully in favour of Morgan dropping into the 8. Jota into the middle, play Anthony on the wing. But if Anthony's left out or anyone's left out, it gives him a kick up the backside. It makes him say, look, these guys that we brought in aren't just coming in to be your backup. They're coming in to take your place. So, get working hard. We've got real quality now, competition for places. That's how we get up from being 17th, 18th to 13th, 14th or higher, cutting out those goalkeeper errors, cutting out those set piece errors, making the percentile changes in the areas that we were really rubbish in last season, and bringing the quality in to enhance the squad.
Greg, you're going to have to fight Ez for him. Greg, he just loves those baby blues, mate. He loves those baby blues on Dominguez.
On Dominguez, I'm glad he's cut his hair because I'm not sure what that was. Dracula.
The blonde. We can double team him, mate. Don't worry.
I prefer him with the skinhead. It looks a lot.
Rob, there's no need to bring you in on this, and you know why now you've seen Greg's team because it's very similar to Greg's team. So just while I finalize this vote, 85% of you are agreeing with Greg. If you really do like his team, make sure you subscribe to Talking Reds. It's pinned in the comments. And I've seen a couple of more. You don't worry, Chris. I saw you. Thank you for subscribing to Talking Reds as well. So, guys, get subscribed. I'm going to bring Rob, your team up. And by the way, the three of them don't beat each other's team, right? So I'm always worried when they send it through that we're going to have 11 exactly the same. And here we go with Rob's team. He's gone for a 4-2-3-1. No surprise there. But he's gone for Miguel in goal, Moreno, Murillo, Milenkovic, and Einar as the back 4, Sangare and Anderson as the 6 and 8, Morgan as the 10, Jota on the right, Hudson-Odoi on the left, and Chris Wood up front. So you can see why I didn't bring you on Greg's team, Rob, because it's one change. So
one team as well. So I think this is really positive that we are starting to get some kind of alignment on what our strongest lineup is. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like this last week, was it? Because Lemmy and we were all coming up with completely different teams. I wanted to see Jota and Miguel in the Bournemouth game, and I think I've been justified in that. The only other thing I'm going to say, because it's not that long ago since we had that 2-2, I was at that as well, and I'm going to be at this one. I think that Gibbs White is the key player for this fixture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a crusade against Wolves last time. His celebration was worth the entrance fee alone. I've kind of given up on my Anderson as 10, Gibbs White as 8 agenda because Anderson was good in that role against Southampton, and Gibbs White managed to play himself into some kind of form against Southampton. Didn't start off great, but he finished the game quite strong. So let's go with that now. And, if I think about that 2-2 we had last time, the first goal was we got Cunha went on this amazing run that nobody stopped. I don't think he's going to get past Milenkovic this time. And then the second goal was a stupid corner. Now, this is why I want Miguel in, right? I think if we've got Miguel and Milenkovic there, I think that's fixed the set piece problem, or at least that's what I feel they were brought in for. So I think you take away those 2 Wolves goals and we're going to win 2-0.
Is it fair to say, because I've looked across your 3 teams, there's not one of those teams any of you on the panel would be totally against? Would that be a fair comment to say? You'd all be okay?
Yeah.
The main thing I was against is Rob. Sorry, the main thing I was against is Rob kept going on about putting Anderson in the number 10. I'm glad you mentioned that because that is something that really used to I used to get quite against that move. Yeah.
Well, no, I was interested to see Gibbs White playing further back, and I still think that if he gets in the England team, he might well be used in that role because I think England needs somebody in that deeper role, and they're looking around for who that is.
I know, but he was more Gibbs White's completely proven in that position. He's done it for us for 2 years, done really well. And then Anderson, has he ever played in the number 10? I don't know if he has. That was the only issue I had with your team.
Anderson's played in all sorts of positions for Newcastle. He's played out on the left. He's played all over the midfield. He's one of these players where we're not quite sure what his position is yet. So
I like him in that number 8 position.
No, he seems to be good there.
I think you can swap them. I think there's scope for Anderson and Gibbs White to interchange through a game. Like I know that his game time was limited, but when we had the American lad from Borussia Dortmund come in, he got limited game time. Rayner, sorry. There was a game when he played more in the 10 and Morgan dropped in. I'm not saying that it should be set, but Anderson has been brought in to be a backup in that number 10 role. And I think the interchange and the fluidity across the pitch, and we saw it last night with the wingers interchanging and moving across, that's something that we can embrace perhaps. So Morgan is the main man. There's no argument about that. He's the main man. And I think if he's our best number 10, he's probably our best 8. He's our best footballer. He's probably the best footballer we've seen in the last 20 years or more at the City Ground, without a doubt. He's that good, I think.
Yeah.
Right. I'm laughing in the background for a reason, and I can't believe I'm going to tell you guys this, but I've had this sent to me. Forest did put in a bid, as we tweeted out earlier, for Kelleher. Do you guys want to know what the bid was?
I know what the bid was. I know already what you're going to say.
But
it was money. It was money plus a certain player. And they turned it down.
It was money in the realm. And Matt Turner.
Money plus Turner.
How much was the money?
And surprisingly enough, they reject. I thought, because I saw some in the chat writing it. I've just been catching up on my messages in the back. I thought I was getting trolled, but it's true. Do you think they would have accepted it without Turner?
Do you know how much the money was?
I've got to go through about 100 messages. I think it's 25 mil, something like that.
Oh god, that's a lot.
I don't know. I need to double check my messages, but bloody hell, sorry, guys.
We sold Blackademos for 22 million, so miracles can happen.
Well, exactly. All right, let's finish up. We're way over time here, but let's finish up with some predictions for the Wolves game. So, Di, with your team or with what Nuno goes, how do you see this one going? What's your score prediction, mate? Chat, get your predictions in. And by the way, Rob, you got 90% on that vote.
I was third last week, so I'll take it.
Yeah, every dog has his day. So, no, Laurie, I'm not joking. So, go on, Si. Get your predictions in as well, chat. That's thrown me. That.
Well, I mean, with the results on Saturday, if there's one thing we know about Forest, is it's going to be a tight game. Like I
Mm.
was laughing last week when you said it's not easy being a Forest fan. Like
It's not.
every single game goes down to the wire. Do you remember the last comfortable win we had? Because I don't.
Swansea. But even then we went behind, didn't we?
Yeah, but that was like 3 seasons ago.
You asked me. I answered.
So yeah, it's going to be tight, isn't it? I'm going to say 2-1. I think it'll be 1-1, and then hopefully, yeah, we'll score another goal.
Okay. Rob?
Well, Wolves have been very unlucky with the first 2 games, Arsenal and Chelsea. So, you know, they are on 0 points at the moment, but they're not a bad opponent. You know, I'd say they're going to be hopefully there and thereabouts with us in the middle of the table. They're by no means a bad opponent. Having said that, if we start Miguel, he might just give us that extra something and we might get another clean sheet. So I think, and if we start Jota, it might be 2-0. If we don't start Jota, it might be 1-0. So if we start Jota and Miguel, I think it's
Don't give me mites, give me a scoreline.
2-0. 2-0 if.
2-0. Don't say if. Right, chat, he's gone 2-0. Greg, are you giving us ifs and buts?
No, not at all. I said 3-1 before. I stick by
you
that.
did.
Willie to score a brace. Morgan gives White to pop up with another goal. I wouldn't be surprised if we kept a clean sheet, actually, but because I just think that we're on an upward trajectory. I think Wolves have some good players still. They're looking to the Brazilian lad they're about to bring in is going to possibly be the signing of the season, but he isn't here yet. Good time to play Wolves.
Andre.
We should have beaten them in the game at the City Ground at the end of last season. It was 2-2. I think this time will be too strong for them. 3-1 Forest to win.
Greg's agreeing with you now. I think he's scared to disagree with you now. You didn't put
Greg,
Yates on
we're going
the
to stick together. Come on.
Do we need to talk about the fact they lost 6-2? Is that going to make any sort of impact? Are they going to?
Well,
the XG was bizarre. The Chelsea XG was bizarre. That they scored 6 goals, but the XG was something like a 2 or something. So I watched the game, and they were kind of carved open a little bit, and that can happen once you've let 2 or 3 in or 4 in. It can go that way. It's a good time to play them. No one likes conceding 6. Is it going to make them be more resilient in defensively, thinking that we can't shift another load of goals, and that perhaps they're going to come and play for a point?
Well, the interesting point on that, if you remember the reverse last season, we just lost to Fulham 5-0, if I remember rightly, and then we shut up shop. So could that be their expectation? Because they've got a hard run. Even after the Forest game, they got some sweaty games after this. So I don't know if they can afford to do that, because they need to get some points on the board. This one's a fascinating one. It really is. Listen, we are so over time here. I want to thank you lot in the chat. As always, you've been blinding and really off-putting to me as a host, but I know you guys do it on purpose. Got a couple of super chats to catch up on. Crypto says, maturity comes with age. Oh, wait, Ant's 79. He says, and shrugs his shoulders. Thank you so much, Crypto. I want a massive shout out to this part. It's been an excellent panel. Greg, thank you for making your debut. Again, just a reminder to the chat, go and subscribe to Talking Reds. The link's pinned in the title. Just click on that, and I'll chuck it again for you guys in the comments. Greg, just a quick little reminder for those joining late. We've got 1,000 in here now. Please go and subscribe. Make sure you do. And Greg, just before I ask you to tell them what's coming up on your channel, Sanic, thank you so much for the £5. Enough goals to get top of the table on goal difference would be good enough for me after last night's shootout. Love it. We could go into the international break on top. Thank you so much for the £5. So Greg, what's coming up on the channel, mate? What can the new subscribers and the OG subscribers look forward to?
So we're going to be going live tomorrow at about 7 p.m. It's transfer deadline day. So we'll do our own preview for Wolves, as well as rounding up the window that we've had and looking at those last couple of hours deals that potentially are going to be a little bit closer to happening. So we'll be summing that up as well. We will be doing our the One With episode. So this is my chance now, Wolfie, to invite you to come on to Talking Reds and take your place in the hot seat. If you haven't seen our episodes previously, we like to put someone in the hot seat. We like to find out about them and their Forest story. And now I think it was one of your colleagues in the chat earlier. I think it might have been Ant. Said about getting you on, and I had already planned to ask you to come on. because I've noticed that you do get flack from all quarters for being this and for not being that and so on. So I want you on our channel to come in, sit down, tell us your background, tell us your Forest story, tell us how FFTV started and got to where it is, so that we can start putting a few stupid rumors to bed. I think someone else pinned out something in the comments a moment ago that I might have given you flack previously. That's never happened. I'm a firm subscriber that there's a lot of love for all the channels that do that, what they do. There's room for everyone. So I think come in and have a chat with us, talk to us about your background. We'll get into other Forest related stuff as well, but you are cordially invited at some point very, very soon to come and sit with me and Richard and be on Talking Reds. So
it'd be my absolute pleasure, mate. It's not the most exciting story, but I'm happy to tell it. I'm happy to tell it. Well, yeah, and we got a troll. We got the trolls in here. Look at this Ez guy as well. But yeah, more than happy to share the story.
Listen. No, exactly. And
I used to run a Man U channel. Okay, that's got to be the worst rumor. Nick, you started that, Nick. One of my most hated teams. But yeah, more than happy to. Absolutely. It'd be an honor.
You've been ever so gracious with us. You've been so supportive of us. You've helped get our subs up tonight. And obviously, look, we're just, like I said, we're just here to, on our channel, just have a bit of fun. Try and do things differently. We're not trying to be like anyone else. Do our own thing, you know, and we get flack as well, and that's fine. Come and have a go at us. It's not a problem at all. But thank you for having me tonight. It's been an absolute honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Guys, please do make sure you subscribe. Honestly, their content is fantastic. I tune in. I'm working my real job and because I love the time you put it on as well. It's in the afternoon. It's a good time for me while I'm doing my emails and stuff. So make sure you that was on Twitter, Nick, was it? Oh, I do love Twitter. Twitter's good fun. Right, guys, please do remember to like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got our transfer deadline. I think we're kicking off at 8:30, and there'll still be more transfer videos coming out in the morning. So make sure you check it out. We'll see you tomorrow. Come on, you Reds.